To matters financial and geopolitical from a frontier, thank you as always for stopping by. Political reflections, I went back to this quotation from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. We want to leave a huge impact on the consciousness of coming generations of Yemenis, and we want their children and women, indeed their men, to shiver every time Saudi Arabia is mentioned. The reason that came to mind was because of this photograph the World Food Programme posted, a little girl selling balloons at a nutrition centre in Sanaa in Yemen. As I said in November last year, that the then 30-year-old Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia arrived on the scene and immediately launched an unwinnable war in the Yemen, and it remains unwinnable. Now, moving on, ABC News was reporting the idea that it all goes all the way to the top is blindingly obvious, said the State Department official speaking on the condition of anonymity. There's overwhelming consensus that the leadership is involved. No one is debating it within the government. While saying no doubts are expressed in the report, the official acknowledged that the words probably and likely are used when attributing the death to the Crown Prince. The source noted that CIA analysis reports rarely include explicit conclusions. It's a mean, nasty world out there, said the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in response to Trump's statement on the Khashoggi murder. Javier Blas posted the full statement with an America first, followed by the world is a very dangerous place. And this is the lengthy statement that was released. This is a video that Javier posted as well. We kept oil prices down. If you want to see oil prices go to $150 a barrel, like, by the way, Russia would love to see that. All what you need to do is break our relationship with Saudi Arabia. I don't think that's correct at all. It's not a binary choice, in my opinion. I think the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince and his father serve at the pleasure of the United States. And Trump is saying otherwise, essentially because, and I take you back to an article in The Intercept last year, or was it this year, Saudi Crown Prince boasted that Jared Kushner was in his pocket. In late October, Kushner made an unannounced trip to Riyadh, catching some intelligence officials off guard. The two princes are said to have stayed up until nearly 4 a.m., several nights swapping stories and planning strategy. One of the people NBS told about the discussion with Kushner was UAE Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, according to a source who talks frequently to confidants of the Saudi and Emirati rulers. MBS bragged to the Emirati Crown Prince and others that Kushner was in his pocket. And I wrote about this as well in November last year when I said last week, after being coached into the early hours by Ivanka Trump's husband, Jared Kushner, MBS launched his Night of the Long Knives, which, according to the veteran journalist Robert Fisk, and I quote, when Saad Hariri's jet touched down at Riyadh on the evening of November 3, the first thing he saw was a group of Saudi policemen surrounding the plane. When they came aboard, they confiscated his mobile phone and those of his bodyguards. Thus was Lebanon's Prime Minister silenced. Hours later, MBS's newly minted Anti-Corruption Commission detained 11 House of Saud princes, 4 current ministers and dozens of former princes and cabinet secretaries, all charged with corruption. Bank accounts were frozen, and the high-profile princely crew jailed at the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton. The gates were shut, the phone line is perpetually busy, and you can't book a room until February the 1st. Fisk concluded, put bluntly, he's clawing down all his rivals. Peter Frankopan tweeted, spine-tingling to see the original map marked in blue and pink to show who would get what. This is the Sykes-Picot. Here are the signatures of Francois Picot and Mark Sykes. Amazing historical fact. Inside China's tantrum diplomacy at APEC, Washington Post. For the first time in its 20-year history, the APEC summit ended in disarray Sunday when the 21 member countries could not reach consensus on a joint statement because of objections by one member, China. This is becoming a bit of a routine in China's official relations, tantrum diplomacy, the senior US official involved in the negotiations told me. Them walking around like they own the place and trying to get what they want through bullying. Chinese tactics included being thuggish with the international media, busting into government buildings uninvited, papering the capital city of Port Moresby with pro-Beijing propaganda, and possibly even using cyber attacks to stifle the message of Vice President Pence. Just as Pence was finishing his speech, the media center's internet mysteriously came back on. US officials told me, although they couldn't be sure China was responsible, they were investigating what happened. Was there any trouble with the internet for the speaker before Pence? Another senior US official asked me. No. And who was that speaker again? Xi. Chinese officials wouldn't take no for an answer. They went to the foreign ministry, physically barged into his office, demanding he meet with them. He called the local police to get them out of the building. Every diplomat I talked to in PNG was stunned by China's actions, but that's not the end of it. And in this article, the conclusion is this is what the Chinese government is today: pushy, insecure, out of control, with no desire to pretend anymore. They will play by the rules the international community has been operating under for decades. How to deal with that reality is the debate the rest of the world must now begin in earnest. Lighthizer, Trump's trade hawk, prepares to swoop on Beijing. This is in the Financial Times, very interesting in-depth article. He absolutely knows what he's speaking about and really brings a lot of substance to the president's ideology. He's the man who has the plan and the thinking underpinning the vision, said a foreign trade negotiator who has faced him recently. I wrote about Lighthizer and Peter Navarro in October when I said they've operated with surgical precision and have introduced an anti-dragon clause. That article was called War is Coming. I was citing the incident with the USS Decatur, where a Chinese warship came within 45 yards of the Decatur. And I was saying this is surely a precursor